You're about to get a tour of the most haunted island in the world. As we fly over the Venetian lagoon, peer down over Poveglia Island. It was auctioned off for $560,000, but we'll get to see all the spooky remains before the rebuild begins. Poveglia was once a mass burial ground for plague victims, and in the 20s, a deranged doctor performed cruel experiments on the patients in the asylum. Below, you'll see the plague field, burning grounds, hospital, and insane asylum. Over 100,000 people have perished on Poveglia over the years, so we're bound to run into some ghosts. Get your EMF sensor and infrared thermometer ready because the helicopter is about to land. Poveglia Island was put up for auction in 2014 with a starting bid of $490,000. The highest bid was for $624,000, but officials thought the price was too low. After a change of heart, it was eventually sold for $560,000, and now the island's transformation can begin. Rebuilding Poveglia won't be cheap. It's expected to cost as much as $22.7 million. The helicopter is about to land on the north end of the island. Get your ghost hunting gear ready because we're going to see the burning grounds first. This empty field was recently used as a vineyard, but back in 1348 it was filled with huge pyres that billowed flames, smoke, and ash into the air. Italians suffering from bubonic plague were sent to Poveglia to meet an untimely demise, and so many people perished that 50% of the island's soil is made up of human ash. The bubonic plague was so severe that testing and treatment for 300 victims would be the equivalent of $288,600 today. The bubonic plague ravaged Italy once again from 1629 to 1631, and the pyres burned once again. Let's head over the bridge into the abandoned hospital. There were fears of yet another plague throughout the 18th century. So in 1777, a hospital called Lazaretto was built on the island. It was used as a quarantine station for merchants and sailors bringing goods and supplies into Italy. It closed in 1814, and in 1922, a new hospital was built in its place. As you walk through the crumbling remains of the hospital, be on the lookout for ghosts. Over there, you'll see the rusted hospital beds, and as you can see, nature has completely taken over. This hospital used to house geriatric patients and mentally ill patients, but now all that remains is rubble and nature. Let's head to the remains of the insane asylum in the next building over. As we walk through the crumbling remains of the insane asylum, you'll see rusted beds with straps that were used to hold down patients. The roof has collapsed in on itself and the concrete walls are covered in graffiti. You'll see that some windows have been boarded up, while others are still covered with metal bars. Like the Lazaretto, this building was transformed in 1922. The psychiatric patients who stayed in this asylum endured terrible conditions. There are reports that lobotomies were performed on the patients by a mad doctor who used crude implements and no anesthesia. Some say that the doctor had a breakdown and jumped to his doom from the top of the island's bell tower. Some Venetians believe that the doctor's ghost still haunts these halls alongside the ghosts of his victims. Things are getting a bit too creepy in here, so let's head to the housing and administrative building. Before we head inside, let's take a look at the exterior. Over there, you'll see the aforementioned bell tower. It's the only remnant from the Church of San Vitale. Napoleon ordered his troops to destroy the church in 1805, and the bell tower was then transformed into a lighthouse. Napoleon's forces built an armory and fort on Poveglia, which sat on the small octagonal island off of Poveglia's southernmost tip. As we walk inside the housing area, you notice that the walls in here are covered in graffiti as well. Entire walls are missing and beams from the roof have fallen to the ground. It's certainly not safe here. And of course, we still face the risk of running into a ghost. Let's head out into that growth of trees. On the other side, we'll find the plague field. This open field looks barren today, but during the bubonic plague pandemics, it was used as a mass burial ground. The remains that survived burning were thrown into open pits. Some visitors have claimed to hear moans, cries, and coughs from plague ghosts. Much of the remains have washed out to sea, and fishermen won't come anywhere near this island for fear of bringing up remains in their fishing nets. The helicopter is about to land. Let's get out of here. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that in 2015, a private group called Poveglia Island was hoping to raise $36 million to invigorate and rebuild Poveglia Island? The group wanted to build a public park, a marina, a restaurant, a hostel, and a state-of-the-art study center on the island. That's all, folks. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to this channel for more great videos.